She knows your sins, don't try to hide it. Greetings dear viewer, join us on a hair-raising journey through today's bone-chilling Pokemon feature, the Hex Maniac. So yeah, Hex Maniac, one of Pokemon's most beloved NPCs. Not as popular as many of the named characters that normally fill the Twitter feed, but this is no doubt one of the best known trainer classes. Originally introduced in Generation 3's Hoenn region, they had an appearance that is much different from what we know today, looking a lot more like a witch fitting the Hex-themed naming. She wears a pointed purple hat and a tattered cloak with Pokeball patterns printed on it. She has red hair coming out from underneath her hat and she holds a crystal ball. In the Japanese version of the games, her eyes are glazed over as if in a trance. This is a pretty neat design. It really leans into the traditional witch aesthetic and was a good idea for something different. Being a brand new generation on a brand new console, Ruby and Sapphire had to step things up from the previous games while maintaining similar feelings. This was basically their new take on what the channel or trainer class would be in the Game Boy Color games. In battle, the Hex Maniac would use Ghost and Psychic Pokemon. It would mostly appear in the second half of the game in the larger open parts of the region.
What trainer class is this? Her sprite is like, the heck is going on? Yeah, what, look at that, hang on, look at that sprite, what the heck? What kind of trainer class is this? Hello? Will your Pokemon sleep? This isn't, oh it is! Oh no! Oh no! I got caught!
But after Generation 3 had come and gone, the Hex Maniac wouldn't be seen for another 10 years. It was in Generation 6's Pokemon X and Y that the trainer class would make a return with a new updated look. Non-playable characters would receive Pokemon-styled art to be used during the challenge screen in this game, and the Hex Maniac was drawn by Yusuke Omura, who has done a lot of great art for the series. This new Hex Maniac design has her posed kneeling on the ground with her large purple dress flourishing out. She has long shaggy purple hair, a lighter headband, and more pale skin than typical. Also, her eyes are all swirly, which could be a reference to how they were in the original Japanese Generation 3 sprite, but these kind of eyes are also like an anime trope as well as her whole appearance. And while it was pretty different from her original design, I think it's what made her so popular. Generation 6 was a great time for ghost Pokemon as we got the Pumpkaboo and Phantom evolution lines, which really fit into the spooky European folklore that made them a great fit for the Kalos region. Gengar would also get a lot more attention in merchandise and advertising as well as its Mega Evolution. So bringing back the Hex Maniac with a new look and some new Pokemon worked together as a perfect storm. The ways in which the NPCs were used in this game were also extremely memorable, with a notable ghost encounter in Lumio City using a Hex Maniac trainer model being one of the most talked about game secrets on the internet. I won't go too deep into that mystery because I've already done a full video on it in the past. And there was also one Hex Maniac who would sell the player Moo Moo Milk, and that made for a lot of fan art. So yeah, altogether it made a perfect combination with how the Pokemon community was beginning to grow on social media during the time. But with the fact that the Hex Maniac trainer class made its return, we really should have seen this as one of the first hints toward Hoenn remakes confirmed, baby! The next year after Pokemon X and Y, we would get Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Being a remake of the Hoenn region, of course the new Hex Maniac model would be there as well. Really, there wasn't that much new to happen aside from a few additional NPCs throughout the map that I have also discussed in that video I mentioned, but it isn't anything too notable at the moment. Over in the trading card game, a lot of trainer classes were being used as the basis of new supporter cards, and the Hex Maniac would receive one as well as a full art version that looks so good. I really wish they would make more of these, or maybe even reprint this card in a future set. There were also some official card sleeves released featuring a Hex Maniac cuddling a very well-loved Bayonet plush toy. It's literally bursting at the seams. Probably one of my favorite uses of her was in the Daisuke Club special website Pokemon Horror Spot. This was a fun little Japanese website made by the Pokemon Company that looked into some of the mysteries and various ghost Pokemon and ghost stories, presented from the perspective of a Hex Maniac who was fascinated with it all. They don't really do much like this on the same scale anymore, but I really love how it's presented. There are also some brand new illustrations of the Hex Maniac in various poses to be used for different occasions. We would see her return in a later special website during the Sun and Moon era alongside other trainers discussing weird occurrences as they relate to Ultra Beasts and aliens. She did also have a small cameo in Pokémon Tournament. In the Haunted House stage, there are a bunch of spooky things moving in the background. And hey, I know that behind anywhere, that's the Hex Maniac trying to open one of the locked doors. Though because she's only meant to be in the background and seen from behind, her character model is, not that detailed. It's still really cool that this was added to the game at all, a nice touch. But now as we move past the 7th generation of Pokemon, there would be yet another period of radio silence in Generation 8. until Pokémon Masters had its Halloween event for 2022. Being a game that allows a player to team up with various trainers and their partner Pokémon, it is a very character-based game. And while we see a bunch of our favorite returning characters, by this point the developers had been introducing various trainer classes from the video games as their own characters. So here we got a Hex Maniac named Helena who is partnered up with a Haunter. She appears in the Otherworldly Encounter event, where she isn't really having a lot of fun at the festival. Nobody is scared or creeped out by ghost stories the way they used to be. Meanwhile, Iris and Alistair are ready to trick or treat when they hear of a monster just outside the city. At this point, Helena creeps in behind them to help look into the mystery of whatever is out there. She is great, eager to learn all about the weird, but bringing up conspiracy theories at every turn, very similar to the Hex Maniac from the special website. Venturing into the woods, they discover that the monster was actually just a lost Poiple, and Iris decides to care for it. After the mystery is solved, Helena is a little disappointed that it was only a Pokemon and not something even weirder or supernatural, but in the end she's invited to have fun and battle with everyone else. It's a nice ending for her specifically because she got to share her love of all things creepy while making some new friends, even if it didn't turn out the way she had expected. Out of everything we've gotten for the Hex Maniac trainer class, I really appreciate how Pokémon Masters turns the idea into an actual named character in the franchise. Not just a trainer with a unique name that we battle while traveling across a route, but someone with desires, a personality, and some character growth in the short amount of time we interact with her. While a lot of other trainer classes before were mostly enjoyed on a purely aesthetic basis, I like that Helena is able to stand out. She was really kind of the solid culmination of all the love of the Hex Maniac trainer class of the fandom. But that's about where the story ends. Though that last entry was something that happened pretty recently, so it's not like we're ending on a completely low note. It's been so interesting to look back on something that wasn't even technically a character in the same sense of other Pokemon characters, but has evolved to be one of the fandom's favorites, in the best and worst way possible. I'll admit that it wasn't until the X and Y redesign that I also hopped onto the bandwagon, but hey, that's what bandwagons are for. I don't really draw as much as I should and my old stuff looks just okay, but I'm glad I tried drawing some fan art of her. I think this was like 2017, so give me a break if it doesn't look good, but if you actually like it, then hey, thank you. So let me know what you think about Pokemon's most popular trainer class turned underappreciated character in the comments below. Anyway, after making this video, I've learned that I should probably turn Save Search on. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the great Gators. Actual Clown, Black Ice, Cheeseburger Lasers, Dan V. Farrar, Dunkachino II, Eevee, Jen Eric, Justin R, Cosmo Zero, Lil Swiss, Meme Supreme, Nathan Boytz, Nomad Nobi, Oleg Studios, Phantom, Pio the Genius, Quago, Tajirai, Viz, Volity, and Pastel Blood. If you would like to support, get your name shouted out here as well as access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this has been GatorX. Thank you for joining our feature presentation, and I'll catch you all later.
It's time for new legends in Pokémon X and Pokémon Y. Explore an exciting new region filled with new Pokémon to catch and train. And meet some Pokémon making their return with all new powers. It's time for Pokémon X and Y. Out October 12th, exclusive to the Nintendo 3DS family.